See, the average goblin mood is now overjoyed. I bought some frogs, and I took off defense mode. Everything's fine now. You just need to recognize your mistakes and take what you can get when it comes to trades, and you should be okay. We do have a cloth need now, which is going to be a problem. I'm going to want to build a weaver soon. I am currently building a scavenger hut, so we might want to hurry up on these planks. So you know what, I'll actually set someone there. And actually we might want to send up more haulers, come to think of it. Sometimes you just need to take what you can get. Ort is not a great hauler, but they're a goblin who can fill the boots. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. If we get a goblin who is better than Ort, we will replace them. For now, though, this is okay. As a general rule, I'm not sure if I brought this up before, as a general rule, I would say 1 to 2 haulers per 10 goblins. We currently have 24 goblins and 4 haulers. So, you know, I think that's a pretty good balance overall. And as you can see, I do not have the cloth for this one or the voodoo for this one. Or whatever this is. So, I can only choose this option. Sometimes you just gotta take what you can get. There we go. Alaric, former breeder, died of old age. Died as a peon. So we don't need to worry. Alright, we just got our first scavenger hut. Unfortunately, we only have 5 peons, and only one of them is willing to work this job. I'm going to leave it for now, I think, and then just let it stay empty until we get some more and better peons. We do have 2 goblins coming in just the next year or so, so one of them might be able to fit. I think I'm only going to assign 1 or 2 of them, 1 or 2 goblins to the scavenger hut to start off, and they can just gather whatever it is they need. You don't need to fill out every job immediately. Having partial full jobs is fine. Okay, here we go. We do have 2 new peons. One of them is a better faith goblin than trade. So we could replace this one with that, Ort with them. But I think we'll just leave it for now. Again, sometimes you gotta take what you can get. They are better trade goblin than Braval. So I'm just gonna set these 2 to scavenger hut, and they'll just do that job. They'll gather whatever resources they can, whatever the resources they need. We do now have an income of frogs whenever they can get frogs, as well as hemp, herbs, and bones. You don't really need bones because of skeletons, so you know what? Let's actually disable that, I think. Let's turn off bones because we still have a good supply of bones here. What I think I'm going to do now is place down a second woodcutter's hut. It is in the same forest, which means this is just going to get cut down twice as fast. But in the short term, it'll benefit us, I believe, more than trying to set up a Burrows to go all the way over here. In the long term, it might be a good idea to set up a Burrows that goes all the way over here, but for now, I think we're all right. It's just something to keep an eye on. At this point, I'm going to place down a weaver and start heading in the direction of these mines. Because if we can get to those mines, then we will be able to get some important resources of stone and iron, which will allow us to build the Faith Hall and the War Hall, which will get us into the world map and open up raids. Okay, so we have a request from Iridin for some cloth. Now, unless something changed, I believe the only reward you get for this is just more piety towards him, more favor towards him. It's very easy to max out a god's favorite. You basically just need to wait a while. Assuming this hasn't been changed, then the only thing you gain is this bar going to the right, and the only thing you lose is this bar going to the left slightly. So I feel like you can generally skip these. Yeah, we lost 5 faith. That is nothing. And if this bar was maxed out, like fully in the green, then we would have gained nothing. So god quests, honestly, you can just ignore them. If you're assuming you're not on the brink of the red, you can just ignore them. And I have never once gotten into the red here. From what I can tell, you have to actively try to get into the red with the gods. So just don't worry about the god quests. They don't matter. They don't do anything for you. We don't have hides, so we can't make warm clothes. We don't need warm clothes right now. So we're going to ignore that. We're just going to set up a weaver and get that going. As I mentioned before, traveling via bridges and elevators is faster than taking the steps. So if you can connect multiple hexes like this, then go for it. It will take some fiddling. This is like pixel perfect at just the right rotation. But this will allow goblins to travel from one hex to the other a lot faster than if they had to take the stairs. Alright, I'm now going to build the mines. I'm going to put them build them at the same time. I think it's generally better to focus on iron first, because that can be a good export resource. But these are right next to each other. I don't really think I need to prioritize either one. If I'm right, these are cold because nobody's working in them. These don't matter. Oh, and also, since it's winter, 2 of these are plants and 1 of them is an amphibian that freezes during the winter. You can just unassign the scavengers in the winter. Make them peons. They're not going to be any help for you during the winter except for collecting bones. And since skeletons drop bones, you already get a good enough supply of them. So just turn your scavengers into peons for the winter. They'll be fine. Everything will be fine. As you'll see here, when that skeleton died, its items were not forbidden. That is because it died within the circle of influence. So if you keep getting skeletons dying in a singular location, and you don't like that their items are being forbidden, just expand your circle of influence to cover that area, and they will automatically be set to pick up. Again, the whole forbidden dropped items thing is just done so you're not getting goblins running all the way out here to pick up stuff that a goblin left behind when they froze to death, and then subsequently freezing to death themselves. And again, since it is winter, we are going to do very little. Okay, I'm going to take a moment because we don't have rocks coming in, and we don't have any basic tools, which means that people might start getting upset about basic tools. So what I'm going to do now is just set some goblins to specifically collect rocks. It's the middle of winter, so they should be fine. Rocks don't run out in the winter like berries do, and there is a good number of resources here, so this elder resource might be harvested out, which might be why we're not collecting as many rocks as we were before. You know, here, there's a elder rock resource here. It's not very far from the village. We should be okay. Okay, this is making me think. I'm gonna put a storehouse right here, just to shorten the distance they have to travel. Yes, this is a fair distance. It's on the other side of the hex, so this will just make that shorter. And again, you really only want to ring that when they're close to their village. That way, no one's hiding for too long. One thing to note is that the longer time goes on and the more gear they wear, the tougher skeletons will be. So you will want to improve your defenses. For example, right now we only have 1 guard here. I think I'm actually going to want to bump that up. So you know what? Bearval, you can get up there as well. Oh. Now you see, this is why you want to remove goblins who are too old. I just lost the log splitter, and if I had not noticed this notification because I was busy with something else, then I would just be down in log splitter and not realizing it. So that's why it's important to look around every so often and remove goblins like these who are too old for their position. Their replacements may not be as skilled, but they're younger, which is all that matters. Alright, and since winter is ending now, we can place more goblins into here. Unfortunately, what we got isn't the best, so I'm just gonna fill this out just to get as much efficiency out of it as possible. Again, sometimes you just need to go with the okayest. It may not be the best for the job, but if they can do the job, then sometimes that's just what you gotta go with. It looks like our rock situation is getting a little better. I'm actually gonna put another temple down. I don't want to put a god in it right away, just because since they awaken on their own, it may be better to wait until one awakens and then assign them a temple than to awaken one only for a different one to awaken immediately afterwards. And this is why you build wells. So, with this fresh on our mind, let's remember to build wells around the village. Wells will help put out fires like this one. So it's important to scatter them around pretty well. Okay, he has rocks. We are low on rocks. His frogs, we're low on frogs. We have a pretty good supply of logs, so we'll give him that. We are low on tools, so let's buy some of those. And you know what? Let's hold on to our firewood. You know what? We don't need all these sticks, so let's give him 10 of those. There we go. A little bit of what we need, plus a little bit extra. Now, this woodcutter hut is damaged. They will repair it on their own. You don't need to worry about it. They could set it on fire at any given moment and destroy it, but they will repair it on their own, and you just have to accept that. Okay, what we actually have here is a hemp and a herb resource being far away. They would need to take a big long trek just to get to it, so I think now is a good time to set up a burrows. You do need to build both sides of the burrows, so when this is done, then we can place the other one here, but we also need to bring in all of these resources. Burrows act kind of like a Nidus tunnel from StarCraft. You enter one and exit the other. They are two-way despite being labeled as the entrance and exit. So they do cost double the resources, but I would say they are worth it in the long run. And from an event, we actually got some juju, which means we can cast a spell. We can actually, force all elder resources to spawn new resources. We cannot cast this spell during winter, which means we can force our forest here to spawn new trees. So let's actually do that. So there we go. We will get new trees growing here and new rocks sprouting here, new berries and all that other good stuff. Beer, I think, is another resource that's more of a luxury thing. You don't need to worry about it too much. Like, you might be tempted to just bum rush into the brewery, but that takes a lot. It needs stone, cloth, planks, tools, just a lot. We should be focusing on building the Faith Hall and the War Hall. For that, though, we need iron and stone. For those, we need this to be done. Now, let's actually prioritize that, because it feels like they are... they're spending more time on the burrows than what they should be. I'm going to try and prioritize these mines just so we can get these going. Oh, Silverfay has awoken. So that is why I started building this temple earlier. They didn't finish it, unfortunately, but because I started on it, it'll be done sooner than if I just placed it down now. And we might actually want to put down a second lumber mill worker, because things are getting pretty bad here. Again, we still have a stockpile of 0 rocks and 3 sticks. Not too concerned about it. We are getting what we need. That is the important stuff. That's the important part. Everything we get is just immediately being put to use. That's all. Kind of thinking it might actually be simpler, rather than building burrows, to just put a warrens here and then one there. I'm gonna try that. Storehouses are cheap, they only cost sticks. So we'll see if we can place that there and then maybe line it up with something here. If not, it should expand the circle of influence over here far enough that we can place something here and then something at the top of the cliff. And then make a easier bridge. Then we don't need these burrows. Burrows are a lot more expensive than just building a bridge, so unless you're yeah, you know what? Screw that. We're gonna do that instead. Unless you are specifically crossing the entire length of the map, like if I was trying to go over here, it probably would be worth it, but I'm just trying to go up a cliff. In that case, I sincerely feel like just making warrens is probably the better plan overall. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that there, and when that's built, I'm gonna put one over here that can connect to it. And then they'll just go up and down that. Okay, we actually got a stone mine. So let's get some goblins working on that. Just gonna set 2 for now. We only have 11 peons. Oh, with that in mind, it's actually probably a good idea to get some more haulers. So here you go. Here you go. Okay, we are down to 8 peons, which isn't great. But I'm not going to assign any more jobs. Now, one thing that might cross your mind. If you find yourself in a situation similar to what I've got here, but worse, where your population is about to overextend the number you can hold, and result in overcrowding, you might be tempted to remove one or both of your breeders in order to slow down birth rate. In my opinion, this is not the correct choice of action. Goblins are like Medabots. The more goblins you have, the more power you have. Goblins of Elderstone villages are really only stable when they are growing. That's that weird city builder thing. It's similar to City Builder Banished, where things really only work out as things expand. If you stagnate or if your population goes down, then you are going to have a bad time. So I would definitely say avoid removing breeders if at all possible. Allow them to continue reproducing because those are your future workers. If you don't have future workers, then your current workers are going to get old, and you're not going to have peons to replace them when they get old enough to be removed. So keep your breeders and just focus on building more warrens. Speaking of, this one has been finished, so we can now place... Yeah, so if we just place that there, it will be a bit of a trek to get there to build this, but once it's done, our scavengers will have a much easier time getting to these resources, as well as this one here. We might run into a situation where these gravestones turn into undead and then they crawl down here, but we do also have this watchtower here, plus some available ore goblins. So you know what, let's plop them down there. So yeah, this is an example of using bridges to close gaps, because right now, in order to get up here, goblins need to go all the way around here, across all of these hexes just to get back to the village. We are going to close that gap by building 2 buildings. And then just a bridge is going to pop up between them, and they can just cross almost instantly. And this is a lot cheaper than building burrows. So yeah, if you're not crossing the entire map, I would say don't bother with the burrows. Just use bridges. Okay, I think we may have hit a point where we might need more tool workers. I'm going to build a second crafting hut as well. The first crafting hut can get you very far, but there generally comes a point where you need a second one. We do have iron, we do have stone, so now we can get to work building the Faith Hall and the War Hall. I'm going to place those down somewhere, and that will open us up to the world map, where we can start raiding other tiles. I'm actually going to remove all of our scavengers, because again, the only thing they can collect in winter is bones, and we have oh, we actually don't have a supply of bones. We do have a good supply of weapons, and we'll just get more bones from the undead, so I'm not too concerned. Let's finish it off. There we go. Okay, so now they can just go right down here. And they can just go right up there, and it'll be fine. I would definitely say, if you can, try and get yourself one choke point and just focus defending on that. I'm not gonna extend myself over here for as long as possible, because that just opens me up to new directions of getting attacked. A lot of people have been complaining about their king running headlong into battle. I haven't noticed that myself. Maybe this is why, because I'm expanding away from the direction all the enemies are coming from. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just lucky, but this seems to be working for me. So if you are having trouble with your king running headlong into battle and without support, maybe just try focusing on a choke point and reinforcing it. I don't know. That's another thing. When they go inside buildings, it can lock your camera, make you think that they're under the ground. It's fine. I'm not entirely sure what the clan chief does. You know what? This guy can be clan chief. There you go. I'm not entirely sure if this is an important role, but it used to be more important when your king could die, but for now, the clan chief just seems to be a leftover feature. So we haven't had a clan chief this entire time, so I wouldn't really worry about a lack of a clan chief. Yeah, this is just a case of a insomniac goblin. Insomniacs are always angry and always upset because they cannot sleep. It really is the worst trait to have. I'm so sorry, Keelish. I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you, but I can't. We'll probably survive this winter, but just in case, I am going to put down a second kindler. I'm getting a lot of goblins demanding tools, and we got some tools here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove any construction projects that require tools. Except for maybe this temple, because Moongast woke up and he demands tools. Getting a lot of riding. Hopefully the trader has tools. They're burning down the Temple of Iridan. That's generally a bad call. We are losing goblins. So, Alright, there were some deaths, but I think we're alright. I think we're gonna be okay. The riding seems to have stopped for now. And new tools are being produced. We just need to keep up our... I think we were just maybe a little bit low on haulers, and all the tools were going into buildings. So instead we put them in, I don't know, the goblin's hands, maybe. Alright, does the trader have tools? You got tools. Give those to me. Thank you. So, I'm noticing that this number, the peon count, it seems to fluctuate between white and red. My assumption is that white means that you have enough enough peons to sustain the village, or more than enough, and red means you don't have enough. So I'm thinking maybe try and keep the peon count white. So I'm at 12 peons, and while it's tempting to put them into jobs, maybe don't. Unless absolutely necessary. Alright, so since I have the War Hall and the Faith Hall built, I can now access the world map. Now, what you want to do when you reach the world map is immediately send out some treks using your most lousy goblins that you can find just to scout the area around you. It shouldn't take too long. I wouldn't worry about it. So, Kike, you're pretty bad. The Elder and the War Chief can actually be sent out too, because they don't, as far as I'm aware, they don't actually fill any role. They're just kind of positions that can be filled. So you can probably send them out without issue as well. Well, we got 4 scouting tracks out there currently, so we're just going to let that happen. And hopefully we hear back from them soon.